Hello, welcome back or welcome to my channel. My name is Taylor and happy Bookmas Day 8. Just so y'all know, I did say that Bookmas Day 6 would have been up this past weekend. However, due to technical difficulties and like the main bulk or the clip that I got for that video being basically incapable of uploading at all, I've just decided to scrap that, and I may see it coming sometime in a different form in January. It was, the battle royale of all my queer reads for the year, which I did last year and I wanted to do this year, highlighting all of the amazing queer reads that I read this year, but that didn't happen. But today's video is me doing our updated bookshelf tour for 2025. Now I have books on 1, 2, 3 shelves technically. However, I already did going over all the books on my physical TBR. I have bought a couple books since then. Like I said, he really likes to buy books, particularly around the holiday season. So I may show you those books, but otherwise I am not going to do anything. I'm not going to go through my physical TBR shelf because you would have already seen it in either all my TBR prompts video or my every book on my physical TBR. So for this video, I'm going to briefly skim over each book on each shelf, just because if I went through every book that I own, that might be a while. I actually don't know how many books I physically own, but I don't feel like counting them. I know the last time I counted my physical TBR, we had 50 books on there, and that grew exponentially. So, who knows? But let's go ahead and hop into the bookshelf tour. So in terms of bookshelves, I have these 2 rows filled out. I don't have enough to fill the bottom row. Right now, they are holding shoes. Then over here on my desk, my entire physical TBR is over here, and these are the 4 new books that I added, plus I bought a cookbook, and then I bought a physical copy of a book I've already read. And then the bookshelves that you will see, these have now become my romance bookshelves. So I'm going to start over here with my non-romance books, and then we'll dive into the pretty shelves over here. This first shelf here is all of the 39 Clues books that I have currently physically read. If you don't know anything about me, this was one of my favorite series as a kid, and I still enjoy reading them to this date. And when I was younger, these books got handed over to a friend of my parents' kid, and even though I wanted them back, they never got brought to me. So now it's a life mission of mine to recollect all the books. Then we have this tiny little 90 Years of Mickey Mouse book here that I got at Box Lunch. Moving over here, we have all of my YA fantasy, and she is quite full here. We may have to do some reshuffling, rearranging sooner, but on here we have Zodiac Rising, 5-star read, the entire Gifts trilogy, The Ones We Burn, The Grimoire of Grey Fate, the Forge and Fracture saga, the Bloodborne, Legendborn saga, I actually don't know what it's called. And then we have a graphic novel, Belladonna, I just bought Foxglove, so excited to read it, The Bone Spindle, and then So Let Them Burn. I think my favorites on here are the Forge and Fracture saga and then the Legendborn cycle. Highly recommend, if you're going to pick something off this shelf, to read those, as well as Zodiac Rising. I did just buy the sequel to that one as well. Oh, and then we have Ariel from the 1989 version on here, and I got that at, I think, Hot Topic. Then we move into my adult fantasy, the Poppy War. She's sitting a little crazy there. Spark of the Everflame. Then I have the OG indie published The Atlas 6. Then we have the Assistant to the Villain trilogy, a collection of short stories by Olivia Blake, Long Live Evil, Sorcery and Small Magics, obviously the Shepherd King's duology, and then the first book in the Poppy War. I haven't gotten to any of the other Poppy War trilogy, but so far, if you're going to read a book off of this one, actually, I think I would highly recommend these top 3, but if you're looking for fun, silly, goofy times, Assistant to the Villain or Long Live Evil. And then that right there is Mean Girls, like the Mean Girls, the musical when that came out. That was the cup that AMC put out, and it is currently holding my bookmarks. So let's move on to the second shelf. The second shelf is my nonfiction, and if you ask, Taylor, why is the biggest one not at the bottom? I don't know why. That's just how I put them in there. I'm curious to see if this causes any structural issues down the line. But near the bottom, we have a bunch of cosmetic history books. I've said this before. For my undergraduate degree, I studied ancient Egyptian beautification practices, so that's why that's there. And also, this summer, I taught an Egyptology camp to kids. Then we have a bunch of like feminism history, LGBTQ plus history, sociology. I like these little big books. Then we have The Game of Desire, Broke Millennial, bought because I saw them on social media. All Boys Aren't Blue, my favorite memoir. This book is gay, obviously. Genderqueer, a great graphic novel / memoir. The ABCs of LGBT plus, great LGBT plus speeches, and Queer Story. You'll see that I have a lot of queer nonfiction on here, and I just bought a new queer nonfiction to read and add to the stack. Moving over, this is a collection of my mystery thrillers and horror books. As you can see, I don't have a lot of either, and all of them are in the YA genre. If you have any great mystery thrillers / horror books that are in the adult genre that I might be intrigued by, let me know. But obviously, we have Ace of Spades. The Black Girl survives in this one. None Shall Sleep and Some Shall Break. The Killing Code. Thieves' Gambit. Anna Dressed in Blood. His Hideous Heart. And then the Dread Nation duology. If you are to read anything on here, read this. Read that. That is superior duology. It could be put in fantasy, but it's also classified as horror, but it's also queer and it's historical. It's a great duology, and I think y'all will enjoy it if you read it. And then this little Jasmine keychain here I got in a blind box. Then we have a new shelf to look at, my dystopian sci-fi. I read all of the Hunger Games books, which you would have seen earlier in a Bookmas, and then this is all of Shatter Me that I've gotten to so far. Yeah, I'm excited to pick up the rest of Shatter Me and read Sunrise on the Reaping in the new year, but that's where it stands right now. If you have any more recommendations for dystopian sci-fi that I might like, give me a shout out, because let's just face it, sci-fi and I don't have a great history. And if you're curious, I do keep the boxes that these box sets in behind some of these books just because it blocks out the sunlight from reaching them. And then this Jasmine also came in a blind box, but those are all the books on this shelf. And then this is what it currently looks like. Please ignore the shoes at the bottom. When I have something to actually fill up the bottom, I will fill it up. But let's move into our romance bookshelf. So you will have if you've been following me all year long, you know that my background has gone through many changes, hence why we have some paint missing from the back there and all this situation going on. But this is what it's settled on for right now, and frankly, I just don't have a desire to touch it up anymore. So I have moved pretty much all of my romance, monster romance, etc. over here, as well as we have a lot of my trinkets and stuff on here. So starting with the first shelf, I have all my Alice Oseman collection. Now I will say Radio Silence to Loveless, those right there are in fact not romances. They are definitely queer coming of age stories, but I want all of my Alice Oseman in one place, and I cannot wait for Heartstopper Volume 6 to come out next year. And then up here we have a little antique Care Bear with the rainbow flag because queer. Then we have the Little Mermaid, and then we have the 2023 Little Mermaid, as well as my signed copy of Bite Me by Renee Rapp. I actually have 2 signed copies of it because I bought a bundle, but that's where that stands. I thought this would be a cute little like rainbow queer section there. And then over here I have Appa. I got him years ago at Box Lunch. Then we have the newest Glinda like for Wicked for Good cup, as well as the keychain that came with the Superman cup that I did break. So that's why Superman's not up here. And then we have Tiana. So the way my shelves are organized on here is by author's last name. So that's how it's going to go. So we're starting with Cool for the Summer. Then all of our Lauren Asher books. One of the holiday romances, Love in a Winter Wonderland. My favorite romance read of the year, likely. Only for the Week by Natasha Bishop. All of my B.K. Borson. I am reading Good Spirits right now. Loving it. Vampires Never Get Old technically is a series of short stories focused on vampires, so it could be put in fantasy, but a lot of the stories are romantic in tone. So it's there as part of like my monster romances. 12th Night, one of my favorite YA romances from this year. Then we have all of our Hannah Grace. And then moving down to this section, Hannah Grace continued, including her new Holiday Ever After book, which I am also currently in the process of reading. For the little knickknacks on this shelf, I have a like villains mini book there. Got that at Box Lunch. All of my mini books, including the Lilo and Stitch one, which is upside down now that I'm looking at it, but I'm not going to fix it right now. And then Beauty and the Beast, all from there. And then I have Alice, and then I have Glinda. Glinda I did get from Target. I know we're not shopping from Target, but I got her before everything went down. And then Alice, I can't remember if it was Hot Topic or Box Lunch. Obviously, we have the Eras Tour bucket, the Eras Tour, what is it? Poster, and the Eras Tour cup in there, all from AMC when the Eras Tour came out. Then my Lover Journal, My Life of a Showgirl, and then all of my Tortured Poets special like edition CDs. And yes, everything is in there. So, moving back to the shelves, we have Icebreaker. Then we have all of my Talia Hibbert. She is growing exponentially. All of my Timothy Janofsky. Read a lot of him this year. All of my Jason June. Obviously, you can see some of the Christmas reads that we went through in our holiday reading vlogs. They'll be linked somewhere on the page. And then we have You Know Me Well, Fake Dates and Mooncakes, which is an underrated, like, Asian queer YA rom-com. And then with the start of my Kimberly Lemming section. So now we have to slide down to the floor. So down here we move into my Marvel-ish collection. So this is the Thunderbolts popcorn bucket with the Thunderbolts cup, and then the Reputation magazine in there. And then I have some CDs here. It's just a mixture. I've got like Renee Rapp's original Everything to Everyone signed CD. I have my OG Sour signed CD. I have Plastic Hearts by Miley Cyrus. I have 1989, Taylor Swift. There's a big collection of CDs here. Then we have my Jasmine Funko Pop. I think I got that at Box Lunch. Then I have Cinderella again, Box Lunch, and Winnie the Pooh, Box Lunch. Then we have my Chinese New Year, Lunar New Year, blind box Minnie Mouse, as well as Miss Bunny came from a blind box as well. And if you're looking at Elena Belova, she actually belongs on top of that cup. However, she fell off. So now she's just sitting over there. It's funny because I've been looking at my shelves and like, I have a Mulan Funko Pop. She's just packed away with my other decor because I just haven't found the place I want to put her. But Mulan is my favorite princess and she's nowhere on here. But I do have a million Jasmines. For some reason, I didn't like go out of my way to collect Jasmines. I've just got a lot of blind box Jasmines. But as we continue, we have Kimberly Lemming continued. Then we have this like vampire rom-com series by Jenna Levine. I think it's cute. I don't know that like I'm actively seeking it out anymore, but she's cute, she's sweet. Then we have Alice Lynn books. Both feature bisexual leads. One ends up with a man, one ends up with a woman. Go find your passion. Red, White, and Royal Blue loves. Next to another 5-star read, A Cuban Girl's Guide to Teen Tomato. Absolute love. A Bond Me for Two, underrated sapphic read. Most Ardently. If it makes you happy, you would have seen that in my fall reading vlog. The Boyfriend Subscription is an underrated, like, spicy queer read. If you're looking for insta-love, spicy, and, like, a queer pretty woman, that's for you. Cross the Line by Simone Saltani. Ride With Me, the second book in the series, is on my TBR for this month. That is another F1 racing romance, if you're intrigued. Then we have 2 graphic novels, North Ranger by Ray Terciero, and then Squad by Maggie Tikuta Hall. You will know that North Ranger is my favorite YA/queer romance read of the year if you have been watching any of my Best of 2025. Squad definitely leans more into that fantasy horror element, but I thought she looked nice on this shelf. So she's going with the monster romance. Then we have the first 3 books in the Windy City series. I honestly just haven't bought the other 2 books, and it does drive me a little crazy that I have them in 2 different sizes. But I do have The Right Move and Caught Up, which are my favorites. I do want Rewind It Back as soon as possible because Rio de Luca, I love you. Then we have my Jenna Voris books. Yes, love these books. Every time you hear that song is required YA queer reading. I don't make the rules, even though, it is just my opinion, I guess. Then this is the only books I have on this shelf. The reason I rearranged is so that I could have some growing room down here. But The Prince and the Dressmaker is a YA graphic novel. X's and Foes, The Homecoming War, and then Mooncakes is another graphic novel between a little sapphic situation between a witch and a werewolf. So yeah, definitely could go in fantasy, but she also works just fine with monster, like, cute little romance. Then this cup here was actually gifted to me as a part of my DCP program as a roommate gift, and it holds a bunch of my pens and pencils. I work in academia. I have so many writing utensils. Then over here, I just have a collection of my CDs, so Taylor Swift, Disney, Demi Lovato, Renee Rapp, so on and so forth. Then we have the Fantastic Four popcorn bucket, and I got mine with the Silver Surfer. And then Elsa keeps falling over, and I just don't have it in me to pick her up. But then I have these two like 3 glass ornaments that my parents have given me, including that little red heart there that says love you to the moon and back, mom and dad. And that was a Valentine's Day gift from when I was a kid. But that actually concludes my entire bookshelf. So let's go ahead, wrap it up, give you one final once over. And this is the entirety of the romance bookshelf. And if you're curious, all of these right here, these 3 are Walt Disney World, got those there. That one is something that was gifted to me. It's definitely not Disney branded. All of the necklaces, these 2 are from TJ Maxx. That one's from Etsy. Same for the bag is from Etsy, and then that is from Miniso, and that hat is from Etsy. And you will see it is winter. I have my heater out. So let's go ahead and hop into the wrap up. I'm not gonna lie, I thought it would take me longer to film that than it actually did, so I don't know what the footage looks like on your end, but that is where the books stand right now. Obviously, I'm gonna read more books and add probably to one of these 2 shelves before the end of the year, because we're only halfway through the month of December right now, so they will grow and expand. But that is where it is right now, because I need to get this video filmed and uploaded by tomorrow. So yeah, I'm curious to see, how do y'all have your shelves organized? Because I've gone through different phases with organizing these. I do kind of like having them organized by genre, but moreover, I like having them organized by author's last name. It could be that I worked in a library for so many years and I'm just like, that's what clicks best with me. Plus, I like a lot of decor on my shelves. The visual merchandiser in me from my merchandising degree is like, give me all of the knickknacks. So yeah, do you have lots of decor and stuff like that? Is yours very neatly organized? Or do you have a little more mishmash, like craziness going on? And obviously, if you're unaware, I do have another channel, Taylor Made Pop Culture, and we do talk all things music there. Also, we talk some Disney and like pop culture alongside there. So if you're curious as to why you're seeing all of these Disney and music things here, that is why. But yeah, and that concludes our bookshelf tour for 2025. Who knows what it'll look like in 2026? But until then, I'll see y'all in the next Bookmas video.